In July 2024, three brothers stood on a boat off the coast of Nova Scotia, staring at 435 kilograms of raw power that took over 3 hours to bring to the surface. And even the most seasoned crew on that water had never fought anything like it. Somewhere else, in a swamp in Florida, a shell the size of a manhole cover was rising out of the mud, watching, waiting, camouflaged as a fossil that should not still be alive today. These are not fishing stories. These are the moments caught on camera when the ocean, the rivers, and the swamps stopped hiding what they had underneath. Some of these creatures broke records that had stood untouched for decades. Others are so old they outlived entire epochs. And the very last one on this list moves with enough uncontrolled force to nearly capsize the boat filming it. Something scientists say almost no crew on Earth should be able to hold on to and win. Join us, and let's discover the greatest captures ever recorded on video. Let's go.
Number 13. Blue Marlin. 430 kilograms of raw muscle broke the surface off Ocean City, Maryland, and the crew holding the rod had no idea a fish this size still existed in those waters. The marlin had been fighting for over an hour, diving hard enough to strip line off the reel, and launching itself completely out of the water in bursts that nearly pulled 2 grown men overboard. When they finally got it alongside the boat, no scale on the dock could weigh it. Crews had to bring in mechanical pulleys at a harbor crane just to lift the animal into the air for an official reading. Picture a compact car swinging from a hook, and that is roughly what that crane was straining against. The number confirmed a regional record that had stood untouched for years, and it earned the team a prize worth well over $1 million in a single afternoon, a payout most professional anglers never see across an entire career. Marine biologists tracking the species say fish this size are vanishing fast, squeezed by decades of fishing pressure and warming currents pushing their food into deeper, colder water. A slow collapse most people never hear about until a catch like this makes headlines. Few blue marlin this large are being documented anywhere in the Atlantic anymore. Somewhere in a Florida swamp, something even older than that marlin's entire species lineage was lying motionless underwater, disguised as a fossil that had learned how to hunt.
Number 12. Alligator snapping turtle. Jaws powerful enough to sever a finger clamped shut inside the murky water of the Everglades, and the creature attached to them had been waiting there, motionless, for longer than anyone could guess. Wildlife explorer Coyote Peterson and his crew had gone looking for something most people only see in fossil records, and what surfaced looked exactly like one. A turtle armored with a spiked shell and a stare that barely blinked. Once safely captured for measurement, the animal weighed more than 45 kilograms, roughly the weight of a full-grown adult human. Enough mass that it took 2 people to lift it safely without injury to either the crew or the turtle. Its shell was crusted with algae so thick it could pass for a sunken log to anything swimming nearby, a camouflage refined over more than a century of the same animal lying in the same stretch of river. This species can live well past 100 years, meaning the turtle in front of the crew had likely been hiding in that water since before anyone alive today was born. Its hunting method borders on cruel patience. It lies with its mouth wide open and wiggles a small pink lure on its tongue shaped exactly like a worm. Fish swim in to investigate. The jaws close faster than a human eye can track. Off the coast of Maine that same year, something built for water this turtle could never survive in was swimming exactly where it should not have been.
Only 1% of people know the dark truth behind what we are about to show you next. If you want to be part of the few who actually know what's happening in the world, subscribe and leave a like right now. Done? Look at this.
Number 11. Basking shark. A fin longer than a grown man's arm span sliced through shallow water just off the Maine coastline, and locals filming it had no idea they were looking at the second largest fish species alive on the planet. The animal measured more than 7.5 meters, trailing only the whale shark in overall size. Yet it was swimming in territory built for tourists wading knee-deep, not deep-sea giants built to feed a kilometer below the surface. Basking sharks filter plankton through mouths wide enough to swallow a beach ball whole, gliding slowly with zero interest in anything human-sized nearby, a feeding style that has never once been linked to an attack on a person. What kept marine biologists up that week was not the encounter itself, it was the pattern behind it. Multiple basking shark sightings this close to shore had been logged across the same season, all in water this species has almost never chosen before. The Gulf of Maine has been warming faster than nearly any other body of water on Earth, and researchers now suspect that heat is dragging entire cold water food chains toward the coast, one massive filter feeder at a time. If an animal built for the deep, freezing Atlantic is choosing to swim where children play in the surf, something below the surface has already changed permanently. On the opposite side of the planet, a crew was about to pull up a creature carrying enough venom to put an adult in the hospital, and let it go anyway.
Number 10. Giant manta ray. A barb carrying enough venom to seriously injure an adult human broke the surface first, followed by a body nearly 2 meters wide, and the fishermen staring at it in the remote waters of Western Australia realized they had no idea what to do next. The ray weighed more than 180 kilograms, roughly the mass of a queen mattress hauled dripping out of the ocean, yet it made no move to defend itself, gliding calmly up the surface while the crew stood frozen in silence. Animals like this one are ancient survivors, shaped by more than 150 million years of evolution to sense electrical signals from prey buried under sand, using organs no human technology has ever fully replicated, a sense so precise it can locate a heartbeat through solid seabed. Instead of hauling it aboard for a trophy shot, the crew made a decision that surprised even themselves. They photographed it fast, then eased the ray back beneath the surface and watched it disappear into the dark current. Encounters with rays this size are becoming rarer every year, as coastal development and unregulated fishing push them out of the shallow feeding grounds they depend on. What that crew witnessed may be one of the last recorded sightings of an animal this size in that entire river system. Off the coast of Portugal that same season, divers were about to meet something so heavy it outweighed their entire boat, and so gentle it let them touch it.
Number 9. Ocean sunfish. 2.5 tons of flat, wrinkled, alien-looking mass drifted out of the blue Atlantic water in front of a group of divers off the coast of Portugal, roughly the same weight as a fully loaded pickup truck suspended in open ocean. It was an ocean sunfish, the heaviest bony fish species on Earth, and its body looked almost unfinished, as if evolution had built half a fish and simply stopped, leaving behind a gaping mouth, rugged gray skin, and fins too small for something this massive. Despite the nightmare proportions, the animal showed zero aggression. It circled the divers slowly and repeatedly, seemingly as curious about them as they were about it, drifting close enough to touch while cameras kept rolling. Sunfish reach these staggering sizes almost entirely on a diet of jellyfish, which carry almost no nutritional value, forcing the animal to consume enormous quantities constantly just to sustain a body this large, a biological inefficiency researchers still cannot fully explain, since almost no other species on the planet grows this massive on food this poor. Encounters like this stay rare because sunfish spend most of their lives far from any coastline in deep open water, rarely surfacing close enough for humans to witness their true scale up close. In a European river that same year, 2 brothers were about to fight something that had been hiding in that exact current since before either of them was born.
Number 8. Wells catfish. Line burned through 2 Italian brothers' fingers for over an hour before anything below the surface of a European river even started to tire, and neither of them expected to be fighting something this size. When it finally broke the water in 2015, they were staring at a Wells catfish nearly 2.7 meters long and weighing about 127 kilograms, officially recognized as the largest freshwater fish in Europe. Its skin was slick, mottled gray and green, built to vanish completely against a muddy riverbed, and its mouth opened wide enough to swallow prey the size of a small dog whole, a gape most freshwater anglers never encounter in an entire lifetime. Wells catfish can live for more than a century, which means the animal the brothers pulled to the surface had likely been swimming through that exact stretch of river for generations, growing larger and harder to catch with every decade it avoided a hook. Unverified reports across Europe describe Wells catfish attacking waterfowl and small mammals at the surface, though scientists remain split on how often that behavior actually happens. After documenting the moment, the brothers released the fish back into the current instead of ending its story on a scale, and it vanished within seconds. No confirmed catch of that exact size has come out of that river since. Somewhere in an American reservoir, a fish twice as old was already outliving entire generations of fishermen who never knew it existed.
A snout built like a crocodile's broke the surface of Sam Rayburn Reservoir near Beaumont, Texas, attached to scales so thick they have been compared to medieval chainmail, and the fisherman holding the rod had just pulled up something older than every other animal on this list combined. The alligator gar measured 2.5 meters and weighed roughly 128 kilograms, larger than most grown men, but its true weapon was never its size. Marine biologists estimated the fish was over 100 years old, meaning it had been alive in that exact water before the First World War had even begun, quietly surviving decades of hooks, boats, and changing water, while almost nobody knew it was there. That number alone changes the entire scale of this list, because alligator gar are not simply rare or large, they are a lineage stretching back more than 100 million years, older than most dinosaurs, and they survived the mass extinction event that erased nearly everything else alive on the planet at the time. From this point forward, size stops being the scariest measurement. Age does. Every creature still ahead on this list did not just grow larger than everything around it. It outlasted entire epochs, evolutionary branches, and in some cases, entire ecosystems that no longer exist anywhere else on Earth. What that fisherman pulled from a Texas lake had quietly outlived empires, and it barely made the middle of this countdown.
Number 6. Whale shark. 15 tons of dead weight lay motionless along the Karachi, Pakistan coastline in 2012, heavier than 2 loaded school buses combined. And for a moment the crowd gathering around it assumed they were looking at a beached boat. It was a female whale shark, roughly 12 meters long, one of the largest confirmed individuals of her species ever documented anywhere in the world. Despite the terror that size can inspire, whale sharks are entirely harmless to humans. Filter feeders that spend their lives quietly straining plankton through mouths wide enough to swallow a person whole, though they never would, patrolling open water for decades without ever posing a real threat to anything larger than a small fish. Her death remains officially unexplained. Marine biologists point to pollution and shifting ocean conditions as likely factors, but no definitive cause was ever confirmed, leaving researchers with more questions than answers about why an animal built to survive an open ocean for over a century ended up dead in shallow coastal water with no visible cause. Scientists moved fast to collect tissue and organ samples before the body was sold at a local market, a collision between grief for a vanishing giant and the economic reality surrounding her. Her death was never solved, and in a completely different ocean, 3 brothers were about to face the exact same predator their father had hooked in that exact spot 30 years earlier.
Number 5. Tiger shark. 30 years after their father landed a shark in the exact same stretch of water off Galveston, Texas, 3 brothers found themselves fighting one of their own during a major fishing tournament, hour after hour in dark, churning current. When the animal finally surfaced, it measured nearly 3.9 meters and weighed over 470 kilograms, one of the largest tiger sharks ever officially recorded in the state.
Tiger sharks earn their name from dark vertical stripes running along a juvenile's body, markings that fade with age, meaning this shark had likely been prowling the Gulf for more than 2 decades based on how faint its pattern had become. Scientists studying tiger shark stomach contents have found license plates, tires, and entire garbage bags inside them, earning the species a reputation as the ocean's least selective eaters, capable of digesting almost anything they swallow without apparent harm to their own digestive system. The catch went viral within hours, not just for its size, but for the eerie symmetry of a father's record being echoed by his sons in the same water 3 decades later. It proved that despite growing fishing pressure across the Gulf of Mexico, apex predators like this one are still out there. But nothing in the Gulf compared to what a research team found waiting in a flooded cave system deep in the Amazon that same year, a species genetics said should not exist.
A snake so thick that a single adult could not fully wrap both arms around its body moved silently through dark, unexplored water in the Ecuadorian Amazon. And the research team diving beside it had been following generations-old indigenous accounts to find it. What they encountered stretched more than 6 meters long and weighed close to 500 kilograms, gliding through vegetation submerged in water shared with electric eels and caimans. Genetic testing revealed something the team did not expect. This was not simply a large individual of a known species. It was an entirely new species, now named the northern green anaconda, which had split genetically from the traditional green anaconda nearly 10 million years ago and evolved in isolation ever since, hidden in plain sight in one of the most studied ecosystems on Earth. 10 million years is difficult to picture, so consider this. Humans as a species have existed for roughly 300,000 years, meaning this snake lineage was already ancient before anything resembling a human ever walked the planet. The discovery confirmed something researchers had long suspected but rarely proven, that indigenous ecological knowledge passed down across generations can lead directly to breakthroughs modern expeditions alone would never find. Nearly 1,500 meters straight down in a completely different ocean, a camera was about to catch something that made even a 10-million-year-old snake look ordinary.
A massive, translucent shape drifted silently through a remote camera's lights nearly 1,500 meters beneath the surface of the Gulf of Mexico, in total darkness, where sunlight has never once reached, moving with no visible propulsion at all. The footage, recorded in 2012, confused scientists for years before the creature was finally identified as Deepstaria reticulum, an extraordinarily rare jellyfish that lives almost exclusively in the crushing pressure of the deep abyssal zone. It can grow to nearly 2 meters wide, with a body so thin and clear it becomes almost invisible except for a faint, ghostly pulse as it moves. Unlike jellyfish most people picture, with dangling tentacles and a rounded bell, Deepstaria has a loose, sheet-like body that billows and folds like fabric caught in slow motion underwater. At depths this extreme, water pressure would crush a human body instantly, and yet this creature exists there permanently, adapted to conditions more hostile than the surface of most other planets in our solar system. Its appearance on camera remains one of the rarest deep-sea sightings ever recorded, footage so strange that scientists needed years just to name what they were looking at. On a remote island chain thousands of kilometers away, a predator with none of that camouflage was hunting in broad daylight, using a weapon built entirely differently, one that does not need darkness to be terrifying.
A bite force of nearly 400 kilograms per square centimeter, far beyond anything a human jaw could generate, is delivered through serrated teeth coated in venomous saliva that slowly breaks a victim down from the inside. And it belongs to a predator still hunting in broad daylight on the remote islands of Komodo National Park in Indonesia. Komodo dragons are the largest living lizards on the planet, capable of reaching over 3 meters in length and weighing more than 70 kilograms. But the bite is only the beginning. Rather than killing prey instantly, a Komodo dragon strikes once and then simply follows its target, sometimes for hours or days, waiting patiently as the venom does the work for it. A hunting strategy refined over millions of years into something closer to a slow, methodical execution than a chase. Add to that reinforced scales, explosive bursts of speed for an ambush, and a forked tongue that can detect a carcass from kilometers away, and this becomes an animal capable of taking down prey far larger than itself, using patience instead of raw speed as its primary weapon. There are documented cases of Komodo dragons posing serious danger to humans on the islands where they live, proof that something resembling a dragon never actually vanished from Earth. Off the coast of Canada, something with none of these weapons was about to prove that raw, uncontrollable power alone can be just as terrifying.
Atlantic bluefin tuna. 435 kilograms of living muscle exploded out of the North Atlantic in violent bursts of raw power, heavier than a full-grown grizzly bear standing on its hind legs. And it took a Pennsylvania fishing crew more than 3 hours in bone-cutting wind off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, just to bring it alongside the boat. The fish felt less like something on a hook and more like being dragged by a moving vehicle, diving deep and stripping meters of line with every run. Bluefin tuna are built like living torpedoes, capable of bursts over 65 kilometers per hour, with body temperatures that run warmer than the surrounding ocean, an evolutionary trait almost no other fish species has developed. A single fish this size can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars at auction, driven by demand in international sushi markets that has pushed bluefin populations toward collapse across multiple oceans. The crew chose not to sell the moment. They chose to remember it. What made this catch different from every other animal on this list was not size or age or rarity alone. It was the sheer physical force involved, an apex predator capable of outrunning most boats, strong enough to nearly capsize a fishing vessel, built with a cardiovascular system closer to a warm-blooded mammal than any fish should have. Few crews on Earth will ever hold a line against something this powerful and win.
If you thought this was terrifying, you are not ready for what they found in the video on your screen. Click it right now. The truth is worse than you think.